One more thing. Okay, you just see me. Hold on, let me. Bam. Okay, can you see my screen now? Okay, all right. So everyone should be able to see the screen now. Chat. Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Keisha. Thank you, Bernice. Okay, so go back. Lord. Let's exit out of that. So, all right, we're gonna do this one by one because it doesn't want to work like that. Let's go here. Okay, so the first is owner financing. So I will tell you, owner financing, I'm in the process of doing this deal now for a multi-unit that we have. It's 8 units, and I'll show you a picture of it after we go over this. But instead of you taking out a traditional mortgage with a commercial lender, literally what you're doing is you're borrowing money from the seller. And so I learned about this tactic. Really, I mean, honestly, like some of it's common sense, but I learned about this tactic from just reading a couple of articles online several years ago, right? And I'm like, well, why would anybody want to do owner financing? Because, in my mind, I'm thinking they want to move, they're going to need all of their money up front in order to move into this next home. Well, investors are okay with owner financing a lot of times because, they've had the property. A lot of investors are already making money from other things, and they look at it as a way, honestly, to be able to make more money and to get rid of their properties. So some of the benefits of owner financing, and it's literally when the owner is just your bank. So there's little to no qualifying that you have to do. That's a whole lot easier than getting a traditional mortgage or loan from a commercial lender. The financing is tailored, so a lot of times you have a lot more negotiation leverage because you can say, hey, I don't want to pay a lot up front, or I would prefer to pay a lot up front. You can negotiate a lot of times the interest, and you can also do fun things like balloon payments where, you might do a 5-year term, a 7-year term, or a 10-year term and have low payments all throughout. But then at the end of that term, you'd have a balloon payment. So a balloon payment is basically like a big payment. So let's just say you purchase something, or you set it on a purchase price and the price was $100,000. And you said, okay, I want to pay $5,000 up front. Every month, I want my mortgage to be $1,000. And then when we get to the end of that term, whether it's a 7-year term or a 10-year term, I'm going to pay you one lump sum for, the rest of that money. So, in owner financing, you can do creative, tailored financing structures just like that one. The down payment is usually flexible because, again, you are negotiating with an individual, a company, or a small company, a small business versus, a large banking institution. And the closing costs are lower because you don't have to go through all of the same steps as you would with a traditional lender. And then my favorite, you get faster possession, right? So it's literally you're meeting up, you're getting the keys, you're exchanging that check, done deal. There's no due diligence period of a month and a half, 6 to 8 weeks, and all of this back and forth. So let's go here, slide 3. So this is the current property that my partner and I are securing through owner financing. It's 8 units. The price is $89,000. My lips are sealed where we're getting it from. It does need some work, so I will say that, but it's fully occupied. All 8 of those units are absolutely fully occupied. I would love to show pictures of the inside. However, I respect people's privacy, and because, their things were in there, they were there. I didn't want to take pictures and be facetious, but you You see me on the outside. I think I do have one image of the inside. The terms for him, because it's owner financing, because this is a cash cow, he really did not want to negotiate on the price. So the price is a solid $89,000, which is fine. 30,000 down, and then our term is 10 years at 7% interest. So, any questions? No questions on that. Okay. All right. Okay, the next one is a lease purchase. Okay, perfect. The next creative way to fund your project is a lease purchase. So lease purchase, also known as rent to own, basically combines the elements of a traditional rental agreement with you getting the exclusive right of refusal option to later purchase the home. So you might say, hey, this is a great investment for me. I'm not at the point where I have $20,000, $30,000 to put down. I want to slow roll it. You can approach that buyer and say, I'd love to do a lease purchase. Or if it's something where, you're trying to buy your first home, this is a great opportunity for you to do that as well. What typically happens is you set up a rental agreement, and it's structured where part of your rent is going towards your down payment for that home. So when it says there's an option deposit, the same way that you would put down a deposit for a rental, for instance, if you're renting where you stay, you usually put down first month's rent, sometimes last month, and a rental deposit. So when you do lease purchase, it's called an option deposit, and it's credited to the price of the home. Again, a percentage of your rent typically also goes towards that down payment, and you generally will negotiate those terms up front. So sometimes people will say, I want to do a 2-year lease, and then at the end of that 2 years, they want to be able to purchase that property. You negotiate the price of that property before you sign the lease. So you know exactly what that price is before you get to that point. And then you know exactly how much of your monthly rent is also going towards the purchase price later on. There are minimum expenditures out of pocket because, again, you're renting at this point. You are not the owner. So, that owner is still responsible for upkeep and for just making sure that that home is functional. They're still legally liable and on the hook. So flexibility and requirements, a lot of times too, this is just like owner financing in a sense for those first 2 years, because you can be really, really flexible in your requirements. Of course, you don't have to have everything up front like you would if you were buying this traditionally. So there's a lot of room for negotiation. You take control of the home if you want to make certain changes. Let's say, you want to put in a new kitchen or a new bathroom or, all of those things. They do have to be coordinated with the owner of the home, but, you get control of that home and you have more leverage in terms of being able to make those changes. So one of the things that we worked on before securing that last multi-unit is, and the deal did not go through, but it was buying a single family home. We were thinking about doing a lease purchase, not so much to live in, but doing a lease purchase for a year while they're fixing that home up. So that way I think the home was worth like $325. If we put in, $75,000, the ARV after that, based on comps in the area and all of that, it's, very easily a $500,000 home. And so, our goal was to do that at the end of that term, not even buy that home, but basically, kind of assign it, have it on the market, sell it before we even get to that point, and have it go from the original buyer to the new buyer, and then we collect all of the profit in the interim. So there are a ton of ways that you can get like super, super, super creative. And again, if I am just speaking too generally, and you need to know something, by all means interrupt and ask me. So of course, no taxes because you don't own the home, so less liability as well. Okay. Any questions? Okay. All right, let's keep it rolling. Subject 2. So if you're on Instagram and if you look in my stories, I posted a property, and I have a couple pictures after this. I posted a property that I said, I would share how we secured that property as well. And what we did was a subject to. So buying subject to means buying a home subject to the existing mortgage. This is essentially you and the current homeowner coming to an understanding that you are going to take over those mortgage payments. The unpaid balance of the existing mortgage is calculated as part of your purchase price. Okay. I love this because you don't, again, need to meet the bank standards. The loan is already secured. There are definitely a lot lower closing costs. Possibly no down payment. We didn't do a down payment at all. What we did do, and I'll wait until we get to the property and show you because there's some other sets on there too. You may have more flexible payment terms. A lot of times they don't even want anything in additional to what is owed on the mortgage. They just don't want to pay the mortgage, right? And you might not have to establish escrow taxes and insurance. So you might be saying, well, why would people do this? A lot of people think that they want to be landlords and then they get in there and things go wrong, or, you have a life and you just don't feel like your phone ringing every month, or, there's a leak and you don't feel like fixing it. Or you've been having a hard time renting out your property, or, you just are going through different transitions in life. And it's just another responsibility that you don't want to, have to answer to. And so, this is a great, great way for you to be able to, number one, help out another buyer, an existing landlord that wants to get out of that deal. It's also favorable to you as well because you don't have to come with all of the qualifications that you would in buying something traditionally. And so that is how we secured this property. It was literally, someone just saying, hey, I know so-and-so, and I think, they want to get rid of their property. This particular person had already taken out a second mortgage on, a second mortgage on this home to help pay for something else. And has moved and kind of wants to move on from being a landlord and dealing with these things. And so we said, okay, we can take this over. Let me show you some of the stats. Okay, so it's this home here on the end, and it's actually a duplex. The mortgage for this is $1,040. The rents are currently $700 and $750, and it is occupied. These pictures are from the original listing, and so probably in the next couple of months after their lease is up, we're absolutely going to raise the rent because the averages are $875 to $1,050 in the area. So that's something that we're going to do to be able to just drive up even more profit. Again, both of the units are fully occupied, and we literally will have to do minor repairs. All in all, I think what's owed on this home is less than $100,000. Where are you? It's about $200 to $250 a month. It's very, very low in this area. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Although we'll have minor repairs, we're getting close. Yeah, so comps for duplexes like this in the area are between like 145 and 160. So I mean, this 40 is the 40K is what do you call it? It's low. But, this is just a great way that we were able to secure a property. One of the things that we did do was decide to do 6 months of mortgage payments, and, just put that in a shared account. So that way, it's kind of a way to build trust. It's also a way for us to just get the ball rolling. We didn't have to do a down payment. So the money that we would have put towards that, we put some of it in an account to just make sure that there wouldn't be any issues with the rent, and also to build confidence with that buyer. So easy breezy. It needs very, very little work. There's a leak, and if you looked at my stories today, we had another leak. So I'm feeling pretty confident with these roof issues, although they can be a little messy. Okay. Any questions about subject 2? Okay. All right. And the last slide. So these are other creative ways to invest. Wholesaling, which, essentially you aren't responsible for, like you can literally do this with no money out of pocket. You find a motivated seller, you get an agreement in writing that, you want a specific term to be able to sell their home. You contact people like me, like other people on this call, other Her Wealth, Her Way members, and you say, hey, I have this great property. This is it, done deal. One of the last completed project that we just put someone in, we got for a wholesaler. They literally got the buyer to sell them our property for $10,000. They sold it to us for a little over $20K. So they made like $13,000 like that. And I think they may have had the property under contract for a day before, before we said yes and kind of started. So wholesaling is great. It is a lot of work. I will say that, but it's also an adrenaline rush for you to not have to put, much money out. And I mean, they might have some marketing expenses and things like that, but in terms of putting money out to secure the property, they didn't have to do any of that. And so that was a really, really quick $13,000 that they made within 24 hours of securing that property. Crowdfunding, there are lots of regulations around crowdfunding, but just like personal lending, crowdfunding is a great way to be able to secure a property. If you have a big family, look, we're at the family reunion. It's 50 of us. Everybody put in $1,000. Everybody put in $500. That's a great way for you to secure an investment. And it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody has to own it. You can do a loan and pay them back a little bit over time. Secured line of credit. So I know some people, they don't like taking out lines of credit. They don't like using credit cards. They don't like borrowing against their 401k. Sometimes you do have to get a little risky and take out loans and be creative in order to get your foot in the door. You might not have to do those things for each and every time that you want to secure a property, but if you have that money and if it's just sitting and that it's making 6% return, 8% return, that your return would be a lot more if you secured a property after 6 months, after a year, refied it, and then kept going with the BRRRR method, then by all means get creative and do it. House hacking is simply you having a primary residence or where you stay, and you taking on roommates. So I know some people do this with boarding homes. Some people, they rent out rooms, but it's a great way for you to cut your expenses, start investing, be able to save, a little bit more, a lot more money every month. Joint venture. So let's say, you don't have money, but you are willing to, oversee the project. There are people that, have full-time jobs that say, hey, I want to invest, but I don't have time to be there every single day, right? Or let's say, I don't have the money, but I have credit. You get with someone that has some money and you all do a joint venture. We try to do 3 joint ventures with members. The goal was every quarter. We'll see how that goes, but right now we're working on 2, and it's amazing. So I will tell you, like, I get a lot of joy out of people actually getting projects and, kind of building that sweat equity. So, if you are, I don't know how to get started, I don't know what I want to do, by all means, like, let's get together and do a joint venture. Tax liens, you go to the tax auction. There are lots of properties there for people that have failed to pay their taxes that owe the man. You can secure that property if you win the bid at the auction. There is that caveat because usually there is a term. They do have a particular amount of time in order to, pay those taxes and get their property back. If they do that, of course, you get refunded your money. If they don't, it's yours. So, that's a great way for you also to be a little creative. And then note investing. There are a couple other things here I didn't mention, just like, stocks and real estate trusts and things like that. Note investing is, let's say you did an owner financing deal, right? And that owner is now like, okay, I need all my money now, versus, after that 10-year term that I've already negotiated with Yolanda. So he could sell that particular note to a note investor. They give him his money, he's out of the deal, and then that person takes over that note per se. So lots of different and creative ways for you to be able to invest. Investing, there's always a risk involved. So you just want to make sure that you've mitigated that and that you've employed the right people, of course, whether that is an attorney, a title company, insurance company, your accountant, a mentor, all of that. I'm not above risk because no risk, no reward. But at the same time, I do practice some due diligence and just try to make sure that I'm making smart decisions and that I am protecting myself and, my other assets and businesses. So, any questions in regards to that? No questions. Okay. All right. So let's get into. Hey, Stacy.
Hello.
Hey, you have a question?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay. You're good. Does anybody else have a question? Ask them. Okay. All right. So, let's get into, what you all have been working on, what you all have been doing, updates, in terms of you being able to secure real estate. So while you're thinking about, what you're about to say, because I know everybody's been doing some forward movement, making baby steps, if anything, I can share a little bit. So, I'm working on a conference that is going to launch next month. It's a virtual conference with several other notable investors, to just, kind of provide more motivation, more tips, more strategies, and more education on, how they're continuing to build their investment portfolios, how they're getting creative, and how they are diversifying. So I've been doing a lot of taping for that, and that will be out. There's also a literary resource that will be launching with that as well. So that is definitely keeping me busy. I don't want to say too much about that until we are done, until it's like complete, but I'm very, very excited about that. The 2 deals that I have on the table will, thankfully, kind of drive up our portfolio to a little over $500,000, and that's since last October. And those 2 existing properties are the ones that I showed you today. The one that is the owner financing project, and then the other one that is the subject to. And so I'm really, really excited about that. It's definitely taken me taken me a long period to get here. So for any of y'all that are like struggling with that, what does this look like? What do I do? And just scared, I will tell you, once you do it, it becomes addictive. Like, I'm seriously looking for, deal 11, deal 12, deal 13, amongst other things. I need to stop because I have a wedding to pay for and other things, but it's addictive. Once you see not how easy it is, but once you see the potential that you have and what you want to do, like it just makes it all worthwhile. And so I have a very aggressive goal for where I personally want to be. And it's definitely in the multi-millions, and it's definitely by a certain date, because I'm hustling so I can disappear. I know some people are hustling to be seen. Like, I'm absolutely hustling so that I can disappear. Okay, so Samantha asked, have I refinanced any of the properties that we bought cash? So I'm in the process now of doing a refi, and that is why one of those deals is not done. It's the first time that we've had to leverage properties, but I'm definitely planning to do that. So the BRRRR method is where you buy a property, you renovate it, you refinance it, and, you kind of repeat that process of buying and doing those things. And that is what allows you to really be able to get another property, another property, another property, another property. And so I'm in the process of doing that now. I will say that it's a lot easier when you have more than one to be able to, kind of get those things refinanced. What I will also say is that, they don't give you 100% of, they don't give you 100%. Normally it's between like 70 to 85% of the value that they give you. And our goal is always to do, either a multifamily or just be able to buy several smaller, like small, quick cash deals, but that are in really, really good areas. What other questions do y'all have for me? Samantha, what are you currently working on? How long did you have to wait? 6 months? No, so we didn't have to wait 6 months because we did not, it's a cash deal. So sometimes if you are if you are employing a lender, then they will want you to wait like 6 months or so. What I'll also say is, when you are refinancing, if you're purchasing a home, you want to make sure that you add value to that in some form or fashion. Keisha, so where you all start off, it kind of depends on what your strategy is. Do you plan on flipping? Do you plan on buying and holding? Are you okay with wholesaling? I don't know if you all have money and you're ready to, kind of do your project. So it depends on what your goals are. Newark is amazing. Are you sure there's not enough inventory? Okay, so this is one of the things that I'll tell you too. Don't look on Zillow, MLS, all of that. Do some stalking and find out who the wholesalers are in the area, because those are the deals that are not advertised to everybody. They literally only advertise them to like people that are in their network, right? So you can find people on Facebook groups. You can ask other investors. You can do a lot of different ways, but find the wholesalers, because they're going to have the cheap deals. Once they get to the MLS, they're already overpriced. Everybody that's there, they want the extreme worth of their home. Some of those homes are overpriced. A lot of them are, priced exactly where they need to be. You want the deals. You want the deals that are underpriced, that, you probably have to put a little bit of money into, sometimes a lot of money into, and you just kind of call it a day. So that is the one thing that I will say about Newark. There's some hoods in Newark, and Newark, is popping because of the proximity to New York. So I would honestly look for some wholesalers that are in that area. have them add you to their list and call it a day. I know how you feel because people feel like Philly is like that. There's a lot, I feel like that. But there's still a lot of potential here. And it's not at that point. Okay. You want to start off with wholesaling and grow from that. So there's no better start than to start. Go back and look at the class that we did last month with Stephanie. Stephanie is a wholesaler, and she talked a little bit about wholesaling. But it's going to be a lot of phone calls, maybe some mailers, maybe just sending out, hey, does anybody want to buy their home? Does anybody want to sell their home? What that looks like. I just got a resource today that we're going to put into the portal for next month. And next month, our mastermind is on wholesaling. So make sure that you tune in for that. And it's basically a script that helps you, what to say when you call people. You can buy lists that are online and just, cold call homes. Hey, would you like to sell your home? Would you like to sell your home? Would you like to sell your home? Use a script, because when you say that, sometimes people get upset with you. I'll make sure that's in by Saturday. So you should check Saturday for that wholesaling script. But, there's no time like the present. This thing is like, how you just have to do stuff just to understand what it's like. Like you literally have to stick your toe in the water and get wet. Like you have to take that step. There is nothing I can say that will ever kind of, take. Of course it can like help you prepare, but nothing really kind of prepares you like doing it. Okay. Couple questions. Okay, the market is competitive. Yep, the market is competitive in a lot of different areas. Okay, so someone said they live in California. California is high, New York is high. It's so expensive. Where you live is not necessarily where you have to invest. So I'll say that again. Where you live is not necessarily where you have to invest. So if you have to drive out, I did a video this week with the mobile home elite, and they were saying that they're 2 hours outside of Chicago, right? That's where they invest. So you might have to drive, it might be out of state, but absolutely challenge yourself to find those markets. I'm in Philadelphia. We do have some stuff in Philly, but the majority of our stuff is outside of Philadelphia. Why? A lot less competitive. The returns are a lot better, the cash on cash returns. And then aside from that, it's kind of like you want to go like for what's next, not what's now. And so just, being cognizant of that, like, okay, where is it that, is popping that, might not be, a fully tapped market. And don't be afraid to go out there. When we did the class with Alexa, she was saying, hey, she's in Atlanta, but she invests outside of Atlanta as well as Atlanta. She's on auction.com, which is a great resource. It like gives me heart palpitations. But that's a great way for you to be able to bid on properties at very low cost. I think she got like a home for $7,000 there that already had a tenant inside. And that's out of state. A lot of people going to Detroit, a lot of people are going to Ohio, a lot of people coming to Philly to invest. So don't be afraid to invest outside of where you live, especially if you are someone that, lives in a high priced area. Do wholesalers require you to purchase property with cash? They don't require it, but a lot of times, it makes it a whole lot easier. Because they will have a list of investors. For our last property, he actually sent it to us before he sent it out to his people. So building relationships with wholesalers is amazing because sometimes they'll hit you up like, hey, I know what you like. I know what you like. I know what you want. And if they have somebody where they can just get it done, they'll do that. If not, and if they have a list of 100 people who are hungry for deals, because, they might feel like, okay, well, this area is saturated, or I just want something, or, everybody's doing real estate investment now. So, everybody will want to bid on certain things. I would just, try to lock them in, and they don't necessarily care as long as they get paid. Can I touch a little bit more on joint ventures? Yep. So, when we launched in December, there were several people that were like, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, right? I've been scared. And I first started off doing I started off doing private lending. And then I also did a joint venture. And a joint venture is where you basically will pair up with a mentor. So for Her Wealth, Her Way, the goal is to start doing them quarterly, where we will just kind of team up with a group of people. So how we structured one of the deals that we are doing now, this group wants to buy and hold, and so we found a project for them. We secured the project. We're in the process of making it pretty, doing some renovations, and then we're going to put tenants inside, right? So this is something that we're doing collectively, 50-50. There is like a $500 deposit that we have everybody do for joint venture. And then we split the project 50-50. We walk you through the project. We manage all of the renovations and all of that, but you all the while are learning, asking questions, and kind of, going through everything. Okay. Can you
do your other ear?
Somebody being a mommy. Okay. And so what's going to happen is after the tenants are there, we're going to refinance. They buy us out, and then the property is there, and hopefully by that time they will be ready to do that next project as a business on their own. Okay, how is it done? You can send an email, info@herwealthherway.com, and we will set up a call, and then figure out where you are, what that kind of project would look like, form a business entity, and then get it done. But I will tell you, when you're ready to do your project, I think that that's a great way for, anybody to get started, because it definitely reduces the risk. And it makes sure that, you invest for sure, for sure. Awesome, Nadia. So I look forward to hearing from you. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, I want to hear from y'all. What y'all have going on? Has anybody gone to look at properties? Has anybody done any private lending lately?
You took a bath, Mama?
No more questions.
Hi.
Okay. All right. So if there is nothing else, I'm going to save this. So if you came on late, you can access it later. Again, our mastermind for next month is going to be on wholesaling. We're going to have a guest speaker here. At the end, we're going to do this mastermind part, and I want to know what you all are working on, what steps you're taking to get that property. If you're interested in joint venture, email me, info@herwealthherway.com. Also be on the lookout for a book, and it's going to be a free resource, as well as our free virtual summit that is coming up next month. So the beginning of April, you'll start to see a lot more information on that. Okay. All right, cool. I do have some wholesale deals that I was emailed today, so I'll drop them in the Facebook group. I had to I don't know what's going on with my Facebook. I had to delete it, and then I'm going to add it back. So I have about 3 deals that I'm going to send there. Do you have face-to-face meetings? Yes. So you can actually set up a one-on-one. It can be a call, or it can be a Zoom call just like this. If I have availability, if you're local, then we can definitely set up a face-to-face meeting. You can schedule it at herwealthherway.com. Yep. Awesome. Awesome, Keisha. Yeah. So let's try to get that in like within the next 2 weeks. I know next week is tricky, but the week after that, if you all are available, like let's go. It's go time. Everybody's getting back their tax money. Like let's go. Let's go. Okay. All right, cool. Again, anything, email me info@herwealthherway.com. And I will see y'all for sure next month. Absolutely. I'm going to stop sharing, stop recording, and then this will be uploaded in the forum. That's also a great way. Make sure you're using that library. We update it every single month with some amazing things. The wholesaling script will absolutely be there by Saturday, so check on that along with some other things. Thank you, Bernice. All right, I will see y'all next month.